I went back and forth between thinking, okay, like this is fine. Gold is fine. The pay here is fine. I could stay here. But there was something in me saying, you were made for more than this. You were made to help more people. And one day I just said, okay, yeah, I know I was made for more.
Do you follow any kind of system when you launch a new customer, a new builder? Is there a track that you put them on in terms of how to get started?
And every time I do one, I see my rewards go up. I book classes. I feel like it gets my momentum going if I'm ever a little stuck. And I find people that are wanting to create income.
My name is Andy Goddard, and I believe that you were born to be free, that freedom is our natural state, and doTERRA reminds us who we are. doTERRA holds this space for us to come back to a natural state of freedom in our bodies, in our spirits, in our time, in our freedom, in our every aspect of our lives. Natalie and I have been at this doTERRA thing for about 18 years, and we are double blue diamonds, and we are so blessed to be in the company of giants. That's who doTERRA attracts, is giant souls who just want to do good, to bless, to lift, and to create freedom along the way for themselves and for others. So we've been focusing on stories lately and interviewing people who have created various levels of freedom and success. And today I'm super excited because we have an absolute rock star in our presence. Sherrie Ferrell has just recently hit Blue Diamond. And for those of you who are new or unfamiliar with the comp plan, to hit Blue Diamond, you have to have 5 golds on 5 different legs. And so to have 5 golds and to have partnered with 5 golds is a really big deal. You don't just stumble into Blue Diamond. That happens with a lot of intention, a lot of purpose, and a lot of effort. So Sherrie, welcome to the call. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
So help us get to know you a little bit better. Give us some of your background.
All right. Well, so I have been married to my husband, Mike, for 35 years this week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we have 2 adult children that I homeschooled all the way through from kindergarten till they went to college. And I just always loved natural things. I was always attracted to natural things. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing, so I would experiment. Sometimes I would succeed, sometimes not so much. But I was just always drawn to those. And I struggled with debilitating anxiety. And I also had fibromyalgia. And so with the fibromyalgia, it hurt really to do my own laundry. I could like take a couple of things out of the wash and it would just hurt so bad I had to rest. I could drive to the grocery store, but my son usually went in and did the shopping for me, even when he was like in middle school. So it was hard. It was really hard, but I made it through and I taught at a tutorial. And before I would go in to teach, I would like when I first learned about doTERRA, I would cover my whole body in deep blue rub to be able to get in the door. But we always had a really simple life. We didn't really go on vacations. We struggled financially and lived paycheck to paycheck. We were the camping family. We had made great memories camping and had a great life before. But I guess what got me really wanting to start with essential oils was there was a lady at the tutorial I taught at that was selling roller bottles that she was making. And she had one for allergies. And my husband sneezed all the time. And so I bought a roller bottle for him and he tried it and it actually worked. And I thought, well, if this works for him, I wonder if this could work for my anxiety. So I bought one of her roller bottles for anxiety and again, it worked. And so I really wanted to have my own oils. And you're not going to believe this, but I could not find anyone to enroll me. So yeah, I know. So everyone was a wholesale customer. And so no one wanted to enroll someone. So I finally found someone that would enroll me. And I enrolled with just a wholesale account, no oils. I paid $35 thinking I was doing something like getting a Sam's Club membership, you know. So I got my $35 account. And then a few weeks later, I bought a couple of oils, no one directing me. And I remember having 5 oils and having so much success with his allergies, my anxiety, that I thought, I want to teach other people about this. And so I Googled how to have a doTERRA class and watched some videos. I made notes on a piece of paper and invited my friends over, taught them what little I knew. They all wanted their own wholesale accounts. So then when they left, I Googled, now what do you do, when people want their own wholesale accounts? And so It was an interesting start for me. I think it's pretty unique, but I Googled everything basically until I got to gold. Just Googled how to do things. But along the way, I went to a training. It was probably in the first couple of months to learn about essential oils. And there was someone talking about lifelong vitality. And I wasn't really interested in supplements. But I remember the lady saying, if you don't have less pain, better mental clarity, and more energy, that you can get your money back. And so I became very interested. And when I got the Lifelong Vitality, started taking it, after about the first month, a large majority of my symptoms were gone from fibromyalgia. And I had been on a stack of medications. Like I had one for the pain, then they gave me one for the side effects, then I got depressed, and they gave me one for, the depression. And so I was on a whole stack of medications for the fibromyalgia that weren't working. I mean, I was able to get off of all of my medication, and with Lifelong Vitality, I would say 85% of my symptoms ended up going away. And then I added in some oils and some other supplements with doTERRA, and I haven't had any fibromyalgia symptoms now in over 10 years. So
Wow.
I've been with doTERRA 11 years, and it took me, so it's probably been 10 and a half years that I haven't had any fibromyalgia symptoms.
That's incredible. So for those who don't maybe know fibromyalgia super well, what are some of those symptoms and how'd that show up? What was the cost of
Okay,
those
so
symptoms?
I was exhausted. I couldn't really do the things that I enjoyed doing, like hiking and, a lot of things with my children, even playing in the backyard. My skin would hurt. I wouldn't want anyone to touch me because my skin would hurt. My
Mm,
muscles ached and it would move around my body. And so I would go to the doctor, and for, like, let's say my ribs were hurting, I would go to the doctor thinking something was wrong with my ribs. And then in a few days, it would move somewhere else in my body. So it went undiagnosed for a long time. Doctors thinking, that I was a hypochondriac. And it was, it was rough because, like I said, I couldn't even grocery shop. I couldn't even do my own laundry.
wow.
Yeah, it was.
And then also the anxiety, like for those who haven't experienced that, what were some of the impacts or effects of anxiety in your life?
Hmm. Well, my daughter and I both actually really struggled with anxiety.
Mm,
And so I know a lot of times it's even harder watching a child,
mm,
of yours go through something than yourself. But for me, I struggled with some OCD, spiraling thoughts,
mm,
just debilitating anxiety, where I would just get so worried and consumed by things that I had trouble functioning and just trouble enjoying life.
mm,
And my daughter, she had PTSD
mm,
from a young man that they were getting ready to get engaged, and he actually committed suicide.
mm,
And so she had PTSD and really struggled to just form sentences. She was in college. She had trouble even reading. It was a really scary time as a mom. And
wow.
so when doTERRA came into our life at just the right time, I was able to help her with all of that as well. So it's, when I saw, what doTERRA was able to do for her, it started off for my husband sneezing, and then I saw what it was able to do for her PTSD, for my anxiety, for my fibromyalgia. I just got excited, for what I could possibly do to help other people.
Wow. So you started trying some of the oils for him first and then for yourself. We have somebody asking really specific questions about fibromyalgia. How do you best support that? What were the body systems involved and what did you do to best support that?
So since we've gotten turmeric and copaiba, I switched over to those as well, added those in. But I take, the lifelong vitality was key for me. Then the turmeric, copaiba have been huge. Taking Terrazyme at night
Mm,
before bed. I take 3 Terrazyme every night before bed, and PB Restore. And I feel
mm,
like that Terrazyme really helps a lot with connective
mm,
tissue and things whenever you take it on an empty stomach. Um,
mm.
and now that is what I do. I still do lifelong vitality. I find
Mm.
that the amount of alpha CRS that's in there works better with my body. And so I think, just a good base, for someone would be that taking Lifelong Vitality. I do 2 turmeric, 2 copaiba at night, 3 Terrazyme, and PB Restore.
Awesome. And then we have Sarah asking, what oils or products or supplements have you used for anxiety?
So I love balance and serenity from
Mm.
the beginning. That was the roller bottle that I got, was
Mm.
balance and serenity. I also love the adaptive capsules
Mm.
and serenity at night before bed. Now, since my beginning with doTERRA, we've gotten some new products, and my grandson, who is 9, when he was in first grade, he was already struggling, kindergarten and first grade, he was already struggling with anxiety and OCD. And so and some ADD, and he was really having trouble going into his classroom at school and sometimes running out because he was so anxious. And so, what I learned with him is how important the omegas were. So I didn't really know for myself what it was exactly, but just how important the omegas were. And so we started him on the omegas and the adaptive, and then at
Mm.
night the serenity, and it's transformed his life. Like he
Wow.
is such an outgoing, little social guy
Mm.
now. And so Copaiba, we also added in Copaiba in the beginning with him. So I think I like to start people off small, and then add to it. I
Mm.
think omegas are key, though. I think that is the first thing that everyone that struggles with any type of anxiety or any of those other issues, ADD or OCD, any of those need to take omegas, and
Mhm.
then the adaptive, the Copaiba, they all just build upon that, until you find exactly what works for you.
Powerful. Thank you so much. And any tips on dosage, especially when we're dealing with small children? What have you learned there?
So for him, when he was 4, we started poking a hole in a Serenity soft
Mm.
gel and like squirting a little bit in honey for him to
Mm.
take before bed. But then he could swallow a pill pretty early on. And so we were giving him in kindergarten, we were going ahead and giving him 2 of the old omegas.
Mhm.
And it was probably, he was 6, I guess, when we started giving him 1 adaptive, adding that to it.
Mm.
And then probably 7 when we added in a Copaiba. And now he's
Mhm.
been at that dose and been doing great.
Okay, fantastic. A little hack that I love to share. The new omegas with the wild orange taste amazing. So if anybody, if you struggle to swallow pills or that pill is too big for you, or if you have children, chew it and it tastes great. I mean, some people get addicted and they're like, this is like a gummy. Like it's so tasty. So
Yeah. My
it's,
grandchildren love to bite those and chew them. They think it's like a gusher, so.
yeah, yeah, they really do taste great. In fact, in Europe, they sell it in a little container and people use it as a salad dressing.
Oh,
So I'm so jealous. I wish we had it like in a big olive oil container, like give me the goods. It's so good. So makes me a little jealous.
I love that.
Okay, so you Googled your way to gold and you did a lot of this figuring out how to teach a class on your own. So that's incredible that there are resources out there. Take us from there once you got to gold.
Okay, so as you can imagine, Googling my way to gold, I made a lot of mistakes, right? Um, but things were moving quickly. I was really excited, and I know that my passion, not my knowledge, was what was selling the product. Because I knew my experience and I had my passion, but I was learning as I went. And so along the way, like my first few people that had classes for me, they had. I was like, oh, you have a business now, and so I started putting people under them. They were my good friends. So when I got to gold, I kind of hit a plateau of like, okay, that's when, a lot of things I had done kind of caught up with me a little bit. Um, but I think that's when I started realizing who were true builders, who were not true builders, and had some mindset issues. I had never seen myself, I had very low confidence, and I had always seen myself as an assistant type person, never someone to lead at all, and really struggled with that. I didn't think I was very smart. And so this really took some time of personal growth for me. And that was really a beautiful thing that doTERRA has done for me, is the personal growth and just helping me become the person that I felt like God wanted me to become. And so at Gold, as I stalled there for a while, I learned some things and I moved forward and I made it to Diamond and hit Diamond 3 times during BOGOs. Okay.
Wow.
That was,
So, so slow us down a little bit there. You said you did a lot of shifting of mindset and a lot of personal development. So flesh that out for us. What did that look like? Did you read books? Like what was that for you?
so yes, I read several books, whatever people, would recommend to me. I was very open, to reading what was suggested. I spent a lot of time in prayer and just, seeking what God wanted me to do with my life. I found a couple of different programs at that time that were going on to be part of, and I just looked for whatever was available out there to grow, personally and to grow in my business, and really invested time in that and kind of slowed down, the speed of everything else to invest in myself. I didn't stop, I kept working, but a lot of my focus became on me and growing myself.
Hmm. Amazing. Do you have any book recommendations for those listening in?
Oh, I mean, I always start people off on becoming, is it becoming the starfish? I always start
Okay.
people off on that and with GoPro, because I think
Hmm.
if you don't have a background with network marketing, those really help you to get perspective on those. I love that, becoming the starfish and GoPro.
Fantastic. Thank you.
But when I got to Diamond, like I said, I hit Diamond 3 times, but just during BOGOs. It wasn't very steady. I would toggle between Gold and Diamond, and a lot of things happened. Like a lot of life things happened at that point. I actually had a reaction to an antibiotic that kind of took me out for about a year. It affected my nervous system. It was a very hard year. I was still able to do calls with my team, but I wasn't really able to do much to move my business forward. At that, and also during that time, I had a leader on my team pass away. One of my closest friends, platinum leader on my team, and just a lot of personal struggles. And so I fell back to Gold, and I was hanging out there. And I went back and forth between thinking, okay, like this is fine. Gold is fine. The pay here is fine. I could stay here. Um, but there was something in me, God, something in me saying, you were made for more than this. You were made to help more people. And, one day I just said, okay, yeah, I know I was made for more. And I had to, dig really deep to come back, to come back full force, and get momentum going. But I did. I dug really deep and I came back and gave it my all. This time, knowing what I was doing, and knowing who I was looking for. And that was just a really pivotal moment, in my life. It's been about 3 years ago, when that happened. And it has been a great journey these last 3 years
Mhm.
for sure.
Wow. Incredible. So give us some of your top tips. We know that getting to Blue Diamond, you can't do it alone. You've got to have partners, and it sounds like you didn't have much mentoring or coaching when it came to business strategy or picking partners. So what advice would you give for how to identify, how to develop leaders to build to Diamond and Beyond?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question because, like I said in the beginning, it was like whoever enrolled, they were they were going to be my business partner. They didn't know, but so yes, so as I came back fully into the business, I knew what I was looking for. I knew that I was looking for people that I could count on, and so I would test people. I'd give them a few different assignments and tell them times to call me and different things like that for them. They didn't realize they were proving themselves to me, but to have them prove themselves to me. And I was looking for, I'm a Christian. It's important to me to be partnered with other Christians. So I was looking for other Christians. I was looking for people that were hardworking, that were into natural health, that had, a good circle. I obviously wanted someone that had a large, network of people, but people that had a good circle and really just people that were open to learning. And I think that is really key for me is that they're open to growing, they're open to learning, they're coachable, teachable, they show up, and fun is really important to me. And so I wanted people that I enjoyed, being with, traveling with, having fun with, and I found them, at all different times in different ways. And a couple of the ladies that are my qualifiers have been with me since the beginning, and we have
Wow.
grown together through that. And then my newer people, they came at just the right time. When I was focusing on getting back to Diamond,
Mhm.
I really spent a lot of time in prayer and thinking, whereas
Mhm.
before I was all just action. And
Mhm.
I think as I was working back towards Diamond, I decided to have a customer appreciation event. And now I always recommend customer appreciation events because at each step, I feel like at each step, whenever I have, right before I have really grown, I have worked on something with personal development, and then I have done something customer appreciation wise.
Mhm.
And so at my customer appreciation event, that is where I found my builder that helped me go to Diamond.
Mhm.
And it was a longtime customer, someone that had actually done the business with me in the beginning
Mhm.
that came back to join me. And so that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Tell us more about your customer appreciation event. What did you do? How'd you get people there?
So, customer appreciation events I find to be just a great opportunity to help boost your rewards, to help you get new customers, to help find people that want to do the business with you, to help people, to find people that want to host classes. So I kind of incorporate a lot into the evening, but I'll send out an invitation. I'm doing one here in a couple of weeks, and I'll send out an invitation just letting them know that I want to do something to show my appreciation. And we will have samples, we will have, food, we will have giveaways, we'll have DIYs, and just make it a really fun event. But when they first get here, we will gather in my living room and I'll just share about some of my favorite products. So that night, that first one, I shared with them about BMG. I shared about Recharge, Advantage, the sleep system, products that are consumables. And so we did that together. I did giveaways. Then we divided up into groups. And so I had a couple of people come and help me. And in the kitchen, I actually had my mom come over, and she does not do doTERRA, but she's my mom. She loves to help. I see someone said how many people. I had about 20 people at that one. But we divided up into three groups. And so we had 7 or 8 in each group. So, excuse me.
You're
So
good.
in the kitchen, we had snacks, but we also had samples. So we had my mom was serving BMG, she was serving fiber, electrolytes, all of those things in the kitchen. I had little samples they could put in bags to take home with like the toothpaste, the deep blue rub. So we had that group going in there. In the dining room, we had DIYs that we were doing, and that just depends on the time. I have you know I find that people just enjoy getting together and making things. And so DIYs are not really my favorite thing to do, like on my own at home. But I know that other people love them. So I had some DIYs going in the kitchen. And then in the living room, I had a third group that was doing the Aroma Touch hand massage. And so we would stay in each group for about 20 minutes and then rotate. Then in the end, I had everyone gather in the living room again. And most of them, were customers, but I had told them that they could bring a friend. So we had some new people. So in the end, I made sure that I went over, how to get started, with the oils. I talked about hosting a class, and I had diffusers, like several different kinds of diffusers, that if they wanted to host a class, they could get a post-it note and put it on the diffuser and claim that. So that kind of, since they weren't all the same, and there were some really pretty ones, I feel like that created a sense of urgency, like, oh, I want that one. And then I really took time to talk about the business and to talk about just the freedom, that the business has brought my family, and the
Mm.
opportunities, and like the travel opportunities. And I talked about different reasons why people might want to create income with doTERRA. I don't say the word business whenever I'm
Mm.
talking, I talk about creating income.
Mhm.
And I talked about our team and our community. And I spend a lot of time, talking about, having a great mentorship program, and how,
Mm.
I would love to work with any of them. And I just kind of slowed down and really talked, about that. And afterwards, I had two people, come up to me that actually had
Mm.
tried the business a little early on and
Mm.
wanting to come back. And so every time I do one, I try to do one like once a quarter. And
Mhm.
every time I do one, I see my rewards go up. I book classes. I feel like it gets my momentum going if I'm ever a little stuck.
Mm.
And I find people that are wanting to create income.
Amazing. So speaking of programs, do you follow any kind of system when you launch a new customer, a new builder? Is there a track that you put them on in terms of, how to get started?
Okay, so I am a low tech girl. Okay, I did not share this in the beginning. I did not have a computer until I was gold.
Wow.
Okay, I bought that with my gold bonus. So
Oh my goodness.
I know. So I did everything on my smartphone, which I had only gotten um, a couple of months before I started doTERRA, and
Mm.
I did not have Facebook either when I started.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I have been on a journey learning tech. I still don't use my computer. My team laughs at me. I only get it out for Zoom calls. So my systems are simple. I have a sheet of paper that has a checklist on it, of when I enroll someone, of all the things that I need to do with that person. And I, keep that checklist and make sure that I do things that are on the checklist with the person. Basically from, the membership overview to me is crucial. That's what we call it. I know some people call it we call it all different things. But when I enroll someone, and everyone on my team, this is our mentality. We schedule the membership overview right then, unless the house is on fire. And if the house is on fire, we step outside and do it. Like, because if you do not schedule it, then it is so hard afterwards. And so I believe that's really been a huge key to our growth, with the new, and we can get into this in a little bit, but with the new comp plan, it's been beautiful for our team. We have loved it. But I believe that is us scheduling those membership overviews, following through with them. We have oil camp that we get people in from back in the day. Like, I really haven't
Mhm.
changed much in the last 10 years. We get them in oil camp. We, send out like, a monthly, the promotions, to the monthly check in, have customer appreciations.
Mhm.
But we have that checklist. And then the same with people when they're interested in creating income. We have a checklist. It basically tells us everything on there to help them set up their direct deposit, to teaching the first four classes, with them, and having them, teach a little bit of it. But it's checklist. A checklist is my system.
So talk to us about the membership overview. A lot of people follow the Live Guide from the Empowered Success system. What system do you use, and how, like, what structure do you give to it?
Okay. And before I tell you about that, let me tell you the closing of my class
Okay.
because it leads into how I do the membership overview. Okay. So I changed my class a little bit a few years ago. I've always used the class in a box, the TerraPad. Back before I used the Natural Solutions brochure, but we've been using the TerraPad for a really long time. And what I, one thing that I changed that was huge was I started telling people the prices of the oils as I went along. And what I found people say, like when I said peppermint was $26 wholesale, and I went ahead and shared how they would get, wholesale price, what I heard from people that had even been to other classes was, oh, when you said it was only $26, I relaxed and thought, I can afford this. And
Mm.
then I could just pay attention, not wondering the whole time, how much is this? How much is it going to cost? And so then when I get to the end of the tear pad, I've covered the 10. I add in oregano, I add in tea tree, give those costs. When I get to the end of the tear pad, my goal is for them to want the Family Essentials box. I want them to visualize themselves with that box of oils and knowing that they can take care of 80% of their health issues with that. I want them to visualize themselves going to the box in the middle of the night when someone's coughing or when they have those first symptoms, coming on, and how empowered they're going to be with the box versus them seeing me, with my oils. I want them to see themselves with their oils. I want them to picture themselves taking it on vacation and staying out of urgent care because they can take care of their family. Okay. So when I finish with the oils, I go ahead and tell the price of the box, that it's only $135 for this box. And it includes frankincense. I've built up frankincense. From there, I transition into, and I'm very visual. I like for them to see, I set up everything, as I'm talking. Then from there, I shift to talking about foundational wellness and just how important it is to invest in our foundation. And I talk about lifespan versus health span and, living our best lives. And as I'm teaching about foundational wellness, I'm giving the price of each item. And then I'm setting it all together and giving the bundle cost. I'm putting the shaker bottle and everything right there beside it so they can see, they have that visual. Okay, so then I say, but doTERRA does not want you to have to choose whether to have everything you need to take care of your family when you have a health issue or to invest in your foundational health. So the very best bundle that we have is a bundle that includes everything that's sitting on this table. And I kind of scoot it together. And I say, you can actually get everything on this table, plus, whatever the freebies are, plus this and this and this for just $250. And people are usually like, wow, because they know they've heard the value as we've gone along. Okay. And so that's what I enroll with.
And for those who are new, which kit is that?
It is called Essential Foundations.
Cool.
And it's $250. But what's really cool right now is we have the 20% off. So it's only $200. So I still close the same way. I still say you can get everything, everything on this table for $250. That's the regular price. But, you guys are super fortunate because this month it's actually $50 off. So it's only $200. And so when they see, like my team has been selling those kits, like that's really all we've been selling this last, little bit. Because when they look at that, if they wanted the box for 135 and you're only paying 65 more to get everything else on the table, it just makes sense. And so you have people trying foundational wellness that may not have tried it before. And so I feel like, then we hand out the order forms, and our order forms have specifically those things. Like it has the box, it has the supplements, and it has the bundle, the big bundle. And so we just have them check which one they're interested in, and that has been great. So from there, I'll go ahead and tell them when they hand me their order form, I'll say, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set you up to get your supplements for next month so that you don't miss, you don't miss out, on any supplements. There's not a break or anything, because you're going to get 10% back on this order, and you're going to get a free little goodie bag. and with samples, and you're going to get this free oil because they get the product of the month free, if they go ahead and start on rewards. And then we're going to meet before your order ships so we can make any changes that you want to make. I just want to make sure you get the most free things. And so they always say yes. And so they're already on rewards when we meet for the membership overview.
Awesome. I love all the details. Thank you so much for sharing. A couple of questions coming through. Eric is asking, do you create your own order form? And
Yes.
where is that? Like, is that something you share, or is that just kind of a,
I'm happy to share it. I can send it to you if you want to share it.
okay. Yeah, that'd be lovely. We'll post it in the Share Success Facebook page. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Wow. Thank you so much for all of the detail and the specifics. That is so, so helpful. Would you be open if some people wanted to come on and ask you a few questions, like what's coming up for them as they hear your story and your journey?
Sure. Do you want me to still talk about the membership overview now as well?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So what I do is I start at the back of the Live Guide because what I found was that when I started at the beginning, sometimes people felt like I was just there to sell them more product.
Hmm.
And so I like to start at the back and go over the information back there of like phone numbers, our Facebook groups. I go ahead and get them into our Facebook group right then instead of trying to do that later. I tell them about Oil Camp. Um, I have a little app that I tell them about. I give them goodies. And I go over some safety information with their oils, which are on that page right there beside it. And then I go ahead then, because they are all on rewards, but I go ahead then and I flip to the page that shares about rewards. Right before I flip, I say, you can log in to your account anytime you want and place an order, anytime you want, and get your discount, get your wholesale cost. But most people do not order that way. Let me show you the way most people order, because as you remember from the class, I am all about helping you get the best price and the most free things. So then we flip to the rewards page, and I'll use that sheet in there to teach them about rewards and the different PVs and what you get, and all of that stuff. And so, like I said, they're already on rewards with their supplements. We discuss it all then. We don't log into their account yet. Next, I say, okay, so that's the hardest part. We've got that out of the way. Now, I really want to focus on you and your family's health issues. Now, remind me what your health goals are, any health issues you have, things you want to address with the products that you've purchased. So then we flip to that sheet in the Live Guide, and I write down the different health goals. We go over what they already have. I reinforce how their foundational wellness is going to help with everything that they have listed. I make sure to include their oils and things they're going to use their oils for, and then have some other suggestions. And then I will turn to the front of the book, and I will show them the wellness pyramid and say, I just want to show you some other of our most popular products. And I'll tell them about the wellness pyramid and tell them there's a two-page spread on each of these. And then I'll go through and kind of hit the highlights on our products. Then after that, we will log into their account, and I will show them how the rewards order works. I'll see if they want to add anything else to it, help them feel really comfortable with their rewards order, how it is, and then save it with them. Now, if they have not gotten on rewards, if they've not gotten supplements during the membership overview, I like to really focus on the supplements and how that could benefit them. But I still do the same thing as far as showing them rewards, finding out their health goals and things like that. Now, one thing that I have found that has really helped is to make sure people have gone ahead and taken their foundational wellness as soon as they got it. So if our membership overview is going to be even like a week after they've gotten their products, I will get on the phone with them and say, okay, we're going to take this together. Go get your products. I'm so excited you have it, and I want them to take it as soon as possible, because what I've seen happen is people get it and then not not use it because they are not reading the instructions and they're just like, I didn't know what to do with it. And so I try to get them to take it as soon as possible. I get them to bring their products. I love to do membership overviews in person. I
Mm.
get them to bring their products. If we have to do it on Zoom, have their products with them. If they have not taken their foundational wellness yet, we do it right then together. I met someone at Starbucks and bought a bottle of water for them to mix it up and take it right then, just get them started taking it. And then making sure to follow up with them like a week after, 2 weeks
Mm.
after. If we want to keep people on foundational wellness, we have to do check-ins with them to help them to stay on track. So I feel like that is huge to take care of our people. And I will say, my team's PGV, talking about if those of you that are new, I don't know, how familiar everyone is with PGV on here, but it's basically, the customers that you have retained over the past year, what they're ordering this month. And our bonuses and a lot of things, our boost for our bonuses are like, look at that. And so the highest is 1200, having PGV of 1200 gets you full boost. Okay. And so at PGV, I feel like is retaining customers is one of the things that I'm really good at. Not computers, okay? Not your spreadsheet girl, but I can help you retain your customers. My PGV has stayed over 2,000 the whole time, that we've been doing this. And so, yeah, those are doing that, taking care of your customers, getting them in something like an oil camp. Our oil camp is really something that me and my leaders went away for the weekend to a cabin and we filmed different parts. We created our own little thing, different little videos, have a Facebook group that we put people in. It lasts a week. The videos are really short. If anybody wants more information on that, you can feel free to ask any questions. But anyway, yes, doing things like that, taking care of them, following up with them, having customer appreciations, not focusing on being a mega enroller, which again, I do enroll a lot of people. I love to, I don't ever want to miss an incentive trip. But if you can't keep up with the people that you're enrolling, then you need to slow down and take care of those people.
Powerful. Sounds so powerful. I know that in the past, oil camp used to be sold. There was kind of a loose framework that you would follow with a lot of posts and schedules and things, and then you made your own videos. Do you know if that's still available?
I don't. I don't know if it's still available or not. That's where we got the idea from,
Or
years
you
ago.
just did your own thing?
We just did our own thing. And ours,
Beautiful.
it's like 4 posts a day. And we go over the top 10 oils and foundational wellness and a couple of other products that are consumable. And people love it. If we can get someone in oil
Mhm.
camp, they're going to stay around.
That's so great. I think that's a great response to one of the earlier questions that came through. Do you do continuing education? And that's really what Oil Camp offers. It's a way to keep in touch with your customers and to develop an awareness and a training on the core products because Oil Camp really is zoned into um, the core products.
Yes,
So
and we do some continuing education too. Like about once a quarter, we'll offer something on Zoom. Um, Maybe it may just be like 3 times a year. We'll offer something on Zoom. But then my leaders, we all do our customer appreciation events. And so in that, we're doing some continuing education. Last year, we did an in-person oil camp, and that was so much fun. We dressed up
hmm.
like park rangers, and we had these different stations that were different national parks that people went to and learned. And we had about 100 people that came to it, and it was fantastic. So
How fun. Virginia's asking how long you do your Oil Camp?
it is 6 days. So the original oil camp back that Andy was talking about, it was 2 weeks, and we found people did not hang around for 2 weeks. So ours is 6 days now, and it takes people about 10 to 15 minutes a day to do what
Hmm.
we have assigned for them to do. And we have a Facebook group that is called, we do it now every other month. It'll be called like March 2026 oil camp. And we get them in there. And if they comment on each of the posts with like what we're asking them to comment, not just like, yay, I love peppermint. But like there'll be a question like, what's a way you would like to use peppermint?
Mm-hmm.
Or when's a time you wished you had deep blue? And so
Mm-hmm.
there's like three educational posts. Then there's a challenge of like, get this oil, do this, tell us your experience. So 10 to 15 minutes a day for the 6 days. We have some posts about co-impact sourcing and healing hands so that they really see the heart of doTERRA. And then in the end, they, with the original oil camp, there were points and it was really complicated. We just in the end tell them to comment if they completed oil camp, and then we send them a gift, like a small oil or something like that.
I love that. So simple, but so powerful, right? People want education, they want nurturing. We just have to provide a path. And so I love the way you're doing that. Okay. So Virginia, it looks like you can go to this oilcampacademy.com if you want to look at the one that still is for sale. It looks like it's still
Oh,
available. Um,
awesome.
and you can get a breakdown of all the track there. That is the 2 week version. I love how you, Sherry, have taken the liberty to just make it your own, to make what works for you and your team. So it sounds like you found 6 days worked better than 2 weeks.
I'm glad
So,
it's still available though, because it guided you like step
hmm
by step by step
hmm
exactly how to set it up. And then you can
hmm
take liberty to, to make changes yourself. But it was very helpful. It told you everything from, how to take your videos and make them
hmm
into YouTube videos and exactly how to place everything. So
hmm
that's awesome. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody has a question. How do you get people to accept your time with them for the overview, for the lifestyle overview, once they have their or membership overview, once they have their products? I've had a hard time getting people saying yes to that time together. So that's the first question.
Yes. Okay. So during my classes, I talk about this several times throughout. Like I'll say, okay, so don't worry, that you're going to have to remember everything I'm teaching you tonight, because I'm gonna give you a free 1 hour consult with me. And where we're going to go over everything that you purchased. I'm going to give you recipes. I'm going to connect you to education. I'm going to take really good care of you. Okay, so I mentioned that throughout. And when we get, I'll say, when we get together, we'll go over, I've got this great recipe, I'll give you. When we get together, I'm going to bring you some little freebies, a little goodie bag. And in the goodie bag, it might just have like an empty spray bottle, an empty roller bottle, a little guide. Mine are never exactly the same. Like I told you, um, I am not a strict systems girl, but everybody gets a little something, a little something when we get together. And I schedule it when they, like I said, before they leave, after they've enrolled. Then I will message them like the next day after I've entered their order, and I'll tell them, how much it cost, how excited I was for, the free things that they got, when they should expect it to arrive, how excited I am to meet with them. And again, I'll remind them why we're meeting and the value behind it.
hmm
Then right before we meet, I have to, same thing, because sometimes people will say, why are we meeting? I can't remember. And I've told them 3 times already. But I think building it up is
hmm
how I get people to show up, and knowing they're going to get something while they're there. But there are those times when people just won't meet with you, and so
Yeah.
with those people, I'll just let them know I really value the investment that you made in you and your family's
hmm
health and trusting me to guide you. And I just want you to know it's really important to me to make sure that I do a good job and that you get everything that you purchased, which part of what they purchased was my knowledge, and me connecting them to educational resources. And so sometimes we'll get to that point though, to where I just have to say, um, if you are open to this in the future, I really do want to finish, what we started together. And that helps a lot of times. They'll say, oh, okay.
I love that. Yeah. You have to really build the value because, yeah, pe people, they guard their time, they guard their calendar. And so we have to seed it in the class, follow up with it, and then get it on the calendar, else it probably doesn't happen.
Because I think a
Um,
lot of times they think you just want to meet with them to sell them more.
yeah, totally. Okay, next question. The Facebook group, is that yours or through doTERRA?
It's mine.
Cool. And then, okay, I saw some more questions come through. Awesome. If anybody wants to raise their hand and come on live, they can ask, share any questions. This has been so valuable. Um, thank you so much.
I want to,
Okay.
while you're looking to see if anyone has any questions, I do want to say that I never saw myself as being Blue Diamond.
Hmm.
Like I told you before, I struggled with self-confidence, and the mindset is so interesting, because when I hit diamond the first time, I want you to know what my first thought was. This was my first thought was, oh no, I'm gonna have to wear high heels now.
The price.
Yeah.
That's a too high price to pay.
But but it's been interesting because as I think as you grow personally, like when you get stuck at a certain level, you get frustrated. But I think my encouragement would be to know that there's something that needs to grow and change within you, like before you're ready for the next level.
Mhm.
And then being
Yeah.
patient in that, working as hard as you can, but being willing to grow.
So true. One of our top leaders in Australia, she doesn't call them rank advancements, she calls them soul advancements.
Ooh.
Because there's this development, the shift that happens internally, just inherently with the process. And so that's so true. Kayla, I think you raised your hand first, and you're on live. So go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, good morning. So much good information. Thank you so much. Mine is just a quick logistics question. So when you are teaching a class about the oils, in that Essential Foundations bundle, those oils are a 5 milliliter. So I'm curious if you're when you're talking about the pricing, which I think is brilliant, are you showing them the bigger bottles and saying this peppermint is $28, or I'm just curious what you're
Yes.
doing with those. Like the box has the smaller oils. So anyway.
That's a great question. And so, yes, I show them the big bottles and I say peppermint is, $26 wholesale in this bottle, 15 milliliters. Now I used to say it in the big bottle, but then I had people questioning big. So anyway, I'll say in this, 15 milliliter bottle, it has about 250 drops. This is the only way that you can buy oils individually. Okay. And so then when I get to the end of the sheet, I will say, so if you bought all of these oils individually, it would be $347.50. Then I'll say, but what doTERRA has done is they have created this box that is perfect. It's travel size, it go all the places with you. The bottles in it are 5 milliliters, which have about 85 drops in them, but will still last you a very long time because as we learned, it's only a drop or two per dose. And so yeah, that's how I factor that in so that they can see the value because I ended up buying all of those bottles individually since I started out with no oils. And so yes, does that answer your question?
Yes. Yep. That's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Great question. Okay, Jeff, I think you had your hand up next. You want to unmute and come on?
Yes. Thank you very much for this one. It's been most educational. I need to rewatch it just to fill in my notes. Thank you for going into specifics. My
You're welcome.
question is on your experience with fibromyalgia. My wife has it in the worst way.
Um,
And you're the first person to explain that just touching the skin, something we experience, is painful. Okay. And we've been in doTERRA for 5 years, and Anne had taken the LOV. That's my loving wife. But now prefers the VMG because she doesn't have to swallow all those pills. And so, what do you think about that in helping you with your fibro? Because with Anne, it's an ongoing thing. It's every day. And I'd also like to ask specifically what else you do with that protocol. She's not here right now, but I'd love to share because your results are so good. Thank you.
sure. So what I have found just personally and with the people that I have worked with that people with fibromyalgia in my world tend to do better with the lifelong vitality. I don't know
Mm.
why, but that is what I have found. And so I feel like that is the anchor. And then taking 2 copaiba, 2 turmeric, the 3 TerraZyme at bedtime, and PB Restore has. I've just seen a lot of success with that protocol with people. Now, I also do put frankincense under my tongue every day. And I know that helps with inflammation as well. So that's what I would encourage her to do. I don't know, Andy, have you heard anything like as far as people with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and lifelong vitality versus BMG?
Yeah, every body is different, right? And so, in fact, I love this famous quote that our bodies are as different on the inside as they are on the outside. And so it takes a little experimenting and trying and, experiment with dosage to really get that dialed in. Um, with fibromyalgia, I haven't heard one way or the other, but yeah, I know a lot of people who prefer LOV over BMG. So, there was nothing broken with LOV. It's still, I think, the best product doTERRA's ever come out with. So don't shy away from it just because VMG came out.
Yeah. If she's going to stick with VMG, you might could have her add a bottle of alpha CRS to it.
Mhm.
Like take more alpha CRS. But in my experience, like I said, the people that I have helped that have chronic pain um, tend to do better with lifelong vitality.
Okay, thank you. So the LLV twice a day, taking 2 copaiba, and that's she does one in the morning, one in the evening. And the turmeric, you do the same, one in the morning, one in the evening?
I take both of mine in the
Thank you.
evening. I take both of mine in the evening.
Okay.
I struggle to remember sometimes if I don't do it. I have my little routine at night, but I'll take both of
Okay.
them in the evening. I actually take my 2 copaiba in the evening and my 2 turmeric, but it doesn't matter. Whenever you can remember
Hmm.
to get it in your body, that's when you should take it. But the 3 TerraZyme at bedtime on an empty stomach, that is important to take that then.
Well, I've heard that same thing. Let the enzymes do their magic while your digestive system is at rest. I'm a big believer. Awesome.
Hey,
Thanks, Jeff. Paul, I think you had your hand up. Go ahead.
So I just also want to second that. Fibromyalgia was one of the autoimmune issues I had, one of my 7 when I came into doTERRA.
Mm.
So lifelong vitality pack, hands down. Um, what I've learned though is that a lot of people with fibromyalgia, they it's the nervous system, endocrine system that needs to be balanced. So anyway,
Mm.
didn't mean to get off on that, but when you're talking about that, that's one of my 2. But lifelong vitality pack, hands down. Anyway, okay. So my question also for Sherrie, because I'm an activator, so you sparked that for me, right? So oil camp agenda. Um, do you have that? Do you share that at all? Or I know that you said it's a week long and you just kind of make it up as you go. Is that something that you share, or is that like did you get an agenda from somewhere on that one?
So Andy put the link in the chat from the people that actually created the original oil camp. And so you can go and
Okay.
purchase the template and I mean step-by-step instructions on how to create
Okay.
the oil camp. And so what we did was we did it that way for a long time. And then we decided we wanted to shorten it. And so we went away and made our recordings. We just thought it would be fun and we like to spend time together. So me and my leaders went away, got a cabin and made campy like videos,
Yeah, yeah.
we're fun like that. But yeah, I would suggest actually purchasing it. It was definitely worth the cost, like to purchase that
Yeah,
template
yeah, yeah.
in the beginning.
Okay. All right, awesome. My other question is customer appreciation with people who are not local. How do you do that?
So we've done some fun things like we've done bingo over Zoom. to
Okay.
where people can win, prizes and things over Zoom. It is definitely more challenging, but there are a lot of fun things you can do over Zoom. But bingo is probably one of my favorite things that we've done.
And do you do that with your oil camp, or do you do that separate?
Separate. So Oil Camp is its
Okay.
own like Facebook group, and
Okay.
new customers go into Oil Camp like right after their membership overview, and it's like we do it every other month. Okay, and it's about 6 days. Okay, so that is
Right.
a week-long thing that they go and they do, that's scheduled. And then as like a bingo Saturday, like say it's a snowy day or something, we'll do like
Right.
a snow day bingo and get everyone on and have them print their bingo sheets at home and have fun and do giveaways. But continuing education over Zoom. Um, I think there's lots of creative, things that you could do like on Zoom for customer appreciation. You could even ask Chat GPT. Now that I'm learning more about technology, I'm using Chat GPT. So
There you go. There you go. My last question is on reactivations. How do you approach those?
hmm, what do you mean? How do I approach them? Like, how do I contact the people or?
Yeah. hmm Like, especially if they're not your enrollment or you don't know them personally, but maybe the person's not the person that did bring them in is not supporting them anymore.
Okay, so if there's no one's, if they were on my team, but that person
hmm
is not supporting them, those people would be part of like being invited to like my customer appreciations or my texts, that I send out. And it would be very individualized as far as, um, just finding out how I could serve them, how I could help them, and in guiding them back. I don't have a system for that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great questions. Well, Sherrie, thank you so much for taking so much time with us today. So grateful for the journey that you've been on and your willingness to share that with all of us. Thank you so much. We always post these videos on YouTube, so you can just subscribe to um, our YouTube channel. It's called Share Success, and we'll include all the links. I know some people are driving or they're at work, and they for some reason copying links doesn't work in my Zoom account, so it's weird. So they're always going to be in the YouTube link description. So just under the video. So again, thank you so much, Sherrie. So grateful for you, and we celebrate your progress, your success, and just wishing you all the very best.
Thank you so much.
All
Have a good
right.
one, guys. Thank you for having me.
God bless you and everyone who's on this call. Thank you so much and have a great week.
Bye.